Hello, welcome to Fieros Reborn with me, Fieros. Hey, and this is T-shirt number 2. I tried to do a different T-shirt number 2. Whoops, yesterday, but I couldn't do the video because I was too knackered, and I was just like, oh fuck this. So yeah, here's today's T-shirt number 2 from my new range of clothing. There's nothing on the back; it's just blue. But hurrah! There you go. So I quite like this piece of work. It's bright, yet it still has the elements of darkness in there as well, with the black and stuff. But yeah, so hurrah! It's quite bright when you look down. Like when you look down at your chest, you're like, oh, that's bright. So I'm Fieros. Welcome to my channel, Fieros Reborn, with me, Fieros Reborn. Hello. Now that's the happiness out of the way. Let's go insane. Let's go insane. So welcome to Fieros' story time, the place where all your dreams are shattered and made fun of. So, oh god, we're talking about Ward 12 now. I'm talking about a Ward 12. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the camera focused on me. Yeah, as in I'm gonna keep the screen up on my screen so that I can see what I'm looking at. Just because I want to see my fucking T-shirt is why. Anyway, okay, fine, I'll put it down. So, let's talk about Ward 12. Ward 12. Now, I said there's going to be quite a few videos about this topic. But it's going to be hard because this is a topic that is emotional and traumatic. I don't like talking about it. It gets me down to talk about it, but that shows me that I need to talk about it. But I mean, maybe we should do a little summary first. Again, I feel like maybe I can't even do it. Let's do a quick summary. So I was born. I grew up. I became a teenager. I had sex with a girl called Andrea. We were girlfriend and boyfriend for a while. It all fell apart because, as we well know, she cheated on me. That's over there in the aura. It's always over there in the aura. This whole thing of she cheated on me is over there. So that happened. She ended up with a different guy. And they broke up eventually anyway. So all things will eventually unravel in the course of time, won't they? And we'll all be dead, looking at life from beyond the grave going, I told you it was all going to end in doom. So, anyway, then what did I do after I was with Andrea? I don't care anymore. I was with a guy called Charlie, and because I thought I was gay for a while, and I didn't even know if I was gay or not, but I thought I'll try it out. It didn't work in the end. I didn't like the guy. He had a massive knob compared to mine, and that was why I broke up with him, because his knob was too big. It was threatening. It was a threatening knob. So just rewrite my story, rewrite my history in different ways. Yeah, and I'd read this book about something to do with spirituality, and I went, okay, let's be spiritual now. And I didn't want to be with him anyway, so I got rid of him. And then I went on this adventure to America, because I felt like it was the right thing to do. I felt like consciousness wanted me to go to America, that there was something for me to contribute by me being in America, that I was going to learn something. It was going to be some kind of healing mission that it just was necessary for me to go there to have some healing or something, whatever. Yeah, and I did, and ended up becoming homeless. But then I came home from America, so that I was unhomeless, rehomed back here. Not without going through some considerable difficult situations. Lived under a bridge with a tramp. Got kicked out by my lesbian girlfriend. That's a weird sentence, isn't it? Ate muffins. Got given muffins by the muffin man. Not the muffin man. The muffin shop. coffee shop, met a guy who was writing a script for a film in the coffee shop that gave me muffins, and I was writing in my A4 pad of lined paper all this book about madness and why I wasn't mad and how it was all a matter of perception, and how if you take one perception and you decide that it's true, then everything else will seem to form around that perception, and then you will just continue to reinforce your perception. So all these people around me had decided that I was mad, and then they were using everything of me, every behavior of mine, to support their perception. So then I ended up throwing that writing pad away anyway, because I don't know, I just couldn't quite get it all together there. But yeah, lived under the bridge, wrote in my pad, thought that I'd come home and do a documentary on how to become addicted to heroin and then how to come off it, and to show the journey of becoming an addict and not being an addict anymore, because I thought that would be worthwhile for people to see. To be fair, has anyone done that yet? You got the stupid, you got the Super Size Me thing, and like programs where people put themselves through grueling schedules or routines, or completely change their whole situation to witness or go through experience a completely different lifestyle. Like people will go and live in Tibet or something who come from North America just so that they can document the experience and the change of lifestyle, whatever. You know, there are these programs of people who go through certain complete overhauls of their lives just in order to show that change and what that does to you as a person. Yeah, so where's the one about someone who, like, for example, there's millionaires who go and live as a homeless person for a while just to see what it's like, that kind of thing, you know? Where's the one who someone gets addicted to heroin on purpose, becomes a drug addict on purpose in order to film it as a documentary, in order to show the side effects or the general effects of it, and then go through a rehabilitation program on purpose in order to show the process of coming clean and how hard it is, and to just show that whole cycle of suffering. And, you know, I'm not going to do it, but I had that idea while I was under the bridge. I think it's a good idea in a way if you are a mad person and you feel like you can go through that. I mean, that must be one of the hardest things that you could ever do consciously, to actually addict yourself on purpose in order to show the progression of becoming an addict, being addicted, and then the rehabilitation process, because it's going to fuck your body up and fuck your mind up to do that. So someone's got to do it to show the process of addiction from start to finish, to show that there is hope, for one thing, to get off it, but also to show how damaging it is as well. Because I think that as general public, we think of drug addicts as just bad people. Like, I don't, but I think there is a perception that if you're a drug addict of any kind, really, or an addict of any kind, actually, that the perception of you is very, very low from a general population point of view. We don't think of drug addicts as being the best people in the world. However, the strange thing is, when you do come off drugs and you go through a recovery program, you can actually become one of the best people in the world, as in the most caring, kind, intelligent, wise people, because to go through such suffering and to heal from such suffering brings about such compassion and such strength of integrity and all that stuff, that I found people who have gone through a program of recovery for addictions, if they work it and they genuinely are clean, that they become very rich as people, not necessarily financially, but rich people, you know, kind, intelligent, wise, caring, understanding. They can see things more deeply than other people can. They can see people's behavior and patterns and stuff like that, because they've gone through this whole journey. It's an enlightening journey. It's a journey of spiritual enlightenment. hello. So yeah, I came up with that idea while I was under the bridge for someone to do a documentary of that, put themselves through the process. I thought it was going to be me, but then I realised, no way, man, that's crazy talk. I'm not doing that. I'm definitely not doing it now. Fuck that. Yeah, because you need someone who's got some kind of mad document, like Louis Theroux. Get him to do it. So, some kind of mad person. Okay. The heroin addiction of Louis Theroux documentary series. Theroux on junk. Okay, let's carry on. Well, then I came back from America. I was arguing with my parents. I got sections once. I escaped from the hospital. I lived with my friend in their attic. I found millions of pounds in the bushes. 4,000 millions of dollars. $4,000 million. $4,000 roughly in a bush. £1,500 worth of PC World vouchers as well. Some euros, blah, blah, blah. I found this money. Didn't end up using all of it. I used some of it. We went up to London. I lived on the streets of London for a while as well. Nearly got raped, but didn't quite get raped. Ended up at Stansted Airport for a while. Oh yeah, lived for a 2-week period in a random place using money, I think, from my overdrafts. I'm not exactly sure where that money came from. I swear I also did some waitering work during that period of time as well. God knows how I was able to manage to do waitering work while I was going through all this whole kind of spiritual psychedelic psychosis thing. I don't care whether it's spiritual or psychosis now. I actually don't care about the definition anymore. You know, like, I was quite, at the beginning of this journey, of these videos, of the video journey, at the beginning of it, I was very like, I want to define it as being a spiritual journey because that's how I saw it when I went through it. And I'd never been able to actually say that and feel like it was okay to say that. Now I've said it so much, I just don't care. I don't care. I'll call it psychosis if I want. It doesn't seem to apply to me anymore. Like, as in, my sense of self goes way beyond any of these labels or definitions or stories. And that's a fruit of doing this exercise. That's the reward of doing it, which is to let go of the past and to not care about the past and to not have it be an ongoing background story of things that have happened, but to know that it happened, to recognize that it has happened, to tell the story, to express everything, to vent it and get rid of it and let go of it from my emotional system. Obviously there's going to always be an understanding there, a trace of it, because I went through it, so it had an impact and had an effect on my life, as to where my life is now. And throughout the whole of my life there will be a small impact from that period in time. But I think as I go through my life, the further I get away from that period of time, the less and less impact it has. Especially now that I've done these video series, you know. So I got sectioned. I escaped from the first hospital. I used some amazing skills to just escape through the lift by pretending to be a visitor, and I thought that was amazing. Got my way back here, escaped, jumped out the window, ran down the road and escaped the police. Then went to Slough, met a friend, lived with my friend, a different friend, in Taplow for about a month. I met up with Andrea during that time as well, so that ties us into the beginnings of the story. So there was the through line of Andrea, got back in contact with her, but things didn't work. I was really excited actually about seeing Andrea, because I wanted to show her my new self, because I felt like my new self was very much more me than I'd ever been before. I felt like I was confident in myself, and I felt like I was expressing some extra consciousness, some extra self-awareness, some extra truth. And when I met up with Andrea, it was weird because she hadn't grown and I felt like I had grown. Now, other people might have said, oh, you didn't grow, you just went crazy. But from my point of view, I had grown into this new authentic understanding of myself, and I felt like she hadn't grown, and if anything she'd kind of got stale. So she was just kind of running a behavioral idea of herself rather than being intuitively in touch with herself. So I just felt like she was living in her mind still, and I'd moved more into the heart and spirit way of being. And I was like, So she kept trying to kind of ask me all these questions, presuming that something was wrong with me all the time, and that like I was malfunctioning. And I was thinking, dude, you're not even giving me the space to answer your question. You asked me a question and you're not even giving me the space to answer it. You're just talking more. So like, I actually ended up walking out of that interaction, and I just left it. I just left her because I just realized that she wasn't actually looking to communicate. She was looking to just judge. It was just a whole judgment conversation thing. So I just left that conversation. I was in touch with her again later on, but by that point, like, things weren't great anymore. Yeah. And I met this guy who was doing signage for the pub, and he was doing it in chalk. And I was quite fascinated by this guy who was doing this artwork for the pub because it was very intricate what he was doing. And I spoke to him for a while. I just remember that. That's another memory. It's quite clear, that memory of sort of, because he was doing it on the ground on this board. I feel like he was kneeling down or something, and I knelt down and watched him do this stuff. Because I'm interested in art and was still interested in art back then. So that was before I met with Andrea, and I had this good conversation with this artist guy, and then I went to speak with Andrea, and Andrea had all these kind of preconceived ideas of who I was and things. And so I suppose maybe that's why that stuck in my mind, because I remember talking to this artist guy who didn't know me from Adam and having a very easy, genuine conversation with him about what he was doing and stuff. And I told him a bit about my artwork, I think. And then, like, no preconceived notions of anything, because he was new and I was new to him, if that makes sense. And then went in to speak to Andrea in the coffee shop, and she just had this kind of whole idea of me built up from the past and from our relationship and from our friendship and stuff. And I suppose, because while I was talking to this artist, I was thinking, what does this mean? I'm always looking for the meaning of random interactions. If I have a random interaction with someone, or there's some kind of like bumping into an old person in my life, I'm always looking to sort of to understand, what does it mean in the context of my life, and what is it showing me? I think that those little synchronicities and random occurrences aren't random, and I try to find the intelligence behind the appearance of randomness. Wow, that was a good sentence. I try to find the intelligence behind the appearance of randomness. So if it appears random, something happening, something falling over or breaking something or meeting someone random, or your train is delayed, or I don't know, whatever it happens to be, I try to find, or like a book poking out at you from somewhere, or just a word on a sign, that you go, okay, why is that poking out at me so strongly at the moment? What's the intelligence behind this appearance of randomness? So, and it's kind of like being on a mystery adventure, like you're trying to decipher the clues that the universe is giving to you. Like, the universe gives you little kind of signs or something here and there, and you're trying to understand, all right, so if this is a clue as to maybe what I should do next, or what I should be thinking about, or where I should go, or what direction I should move in overall, or maybe this is to help with a creative idea. Maybe this little word here poking out is going to trigger a thought about something in my creative life, or it's going to trigger something in my relationship life that brings me a new insight or an understanding, And so, so when I was thinking about that artist person, I was trying to think, well, what is the meaning of this? So, artist guy doing a sign. What is this to do with? Maybe I should do some kind of work like that. Maybe that would be a good style of work for me to do those boards for pubs. But I think that's probably not right for me, because it's too it's still too structured for me. I don't like the fact that I would have to fish out for business and I'd have to do what they want me to do. It's too kind of formal. And I'm very much informal as a person. Just flow around and do random stuff and hope to get paid for it one day and find ways to get paid for it. Make my own structures, not the structures of other people, but my own structures. Yeah, so, but there's other aspects of that interaction with this artist guy, because there's a sense of clarity in there, sense of openness, sense of no presumption either between two people. And then now looking at it, I mean, I almost didn't even speak about this random interaction because I just felt like, oh, what's the point of it? Now I'm trying to find the intelligence to it. So when I went to speak with Andrea, that now I'm making a contrast between these two types of interaction, because when I went to speak with Andrea, she just seemed distracted. She seemed to have already have an understanding of who I was, and therefore she wasn't able to relate to me in the moment anymore. She also seemed to be in some kind of suffering, and she seemed to be avoiding deeper feelings or something, and sort of, I don't know. She just wasn't kind of present, if that makes sense. She wasn't present and open. She was always halfway between the past and the future. So she was in tension between what has happened and what will happen. And so she was never just settled and present in the now, being here. So it was always like focused on what just happened and what will happen in the future. And so it's weird. I don't know. I think that my understanding of Andrea as a person is really based on the initial part of our relationship. And then as our friendship moved on over the years, I feel like she didn't progress from who she was. She just kind of went more into the mind identity of what she was. She sort of constructed this idea of who she was based on her memories of herself, and then she just started acting out that more rigidly. So she lost her spontaneity, and she became a kind of like an imitation of her true self. So like you pick up bits of your true self, you think that's who I am, and then you run with those ideas of who you are, and then you make more of those ideas. But what you really are is what is the truth behind the ideas. So it's not a singular thing. It's not a fixed thing. It's just a flow of self. Anyway, yeah. So whatever. I've talked about the fact that I got arrested again because my parents had taken hold of my passport, and I wasn't happy about them taking hold of my passport because I wanted to try and go to Australia from Heathrow, which didn't end up happening because I didn't have my passport. I also didn't have the money, and I also locked myself out of my bank account by typing in the PIN number wrong about 3 or 4 times. I think I don't know how many times you get to type it in incorrectly before it sucks your card in, but it sucked my card in. And I was like, no, no. I've had that happen quite a few times. My card gets sucked in. You're like, oh. Because it's not like it doesn't even kind of it just sucks it in, and you go, oh, and it keeps hold of it. You're like, shit, because it's not like it pops your card back out and says, okay, if you're going to use this again, you have to call up your bank or whatever. But no, it just goes, that's it. And you're like, what? and then you try and press the buttons on the fucking ATM thing, and it's like, no, next customer please. I'm like, no, you've nicked my card. And it was like, next customer please. I'm like, what? Did I even have a card? Was this real? Is this real? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Yeah. So that has happened at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times, that I've had cards sucked into ATMs because I've forgotten my PIN or I've done something stupid and it's gone, bollocks to you. And I'm like, oh no. And you're like, is there a way to get in through the thing? Come on, Dick. Yeah. And you're like, no, it's not happening. Fuck. Oh, where's my card? Yeah. So that happened anyway. So yeah, that's why I decided to come and get my passport, because I realised that my parents had taken hold of my passport and I was not happy about it. So I came here to get it back, and things got out of hand, and I got violent to my dad again, slapped him again, and my brother jumped on me to hold me back. But I wasn't going to do anything worse than slapping him. I quite enjoy slapping him, if I'm honest, because I'm like, this guy's being a dick, and I just felt it felt satisfying to slap the guy. I'm being honest, it did, because this guy had been a fucking asshole to me for a number of, not years, but a number of months. And I think that was like one of the only ways I could actually express how I felt was to slap him, because I just felt like he was being so unreasonable that you couldn't fucking talk to the guy. So yeah, trying to slap him, like, fucking listen. Yeah. So all right, fine. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Good. Fine. He deserved it. He did deserve it, though, at that time. He did. Oh, God. And I'm trying to rationalise myself and say, no, that's a bad thing to think. You shouldn't say that. But genuinely, that's how I feel still. I'm like, you were a dick. And I had no other way of expressing myself. And you wouldn't let me express myself. And you were lying to me and you'd taken my stuff. And then lying to me about the fact that you had taken my stuff, you know. I mean, just what kind of bellend were you? Yeah, so I got arrested. I got taken to the police station. I stayed overnight in the cell. One police guy watching me. He was a decent guy. And then I had this interview thing with this kind of psychologist doctor person from the police doctor. Yeah, who was, as I've mentioned before, creepy as fuck. And I didn't really want to answer any of these fucking questions because it's just so creepy, this feeling coming from it. And I was trying to basically stay present, and it's just massive pain body feeling coming from it. I'm like, oh, gross. Anyway, then my doctors showed up from the community mental health team to section me rather than to give me a criminal charge. They sectioned me, which is a blessing, really, because I could have got a criminal charge. But my parents weren't going to press charges. They just wanted to make sure that I got into hospital. So I got sectioned, got taken to Ward 12 in the police van again. So the previous time I was in the police van, I was being taken from here to the police station and screaming my lungs out in protest. Not even in protest, really, just as for fun, because there's nothing else to do. Like, what else can I do? I cannot make any change on my situation whatsoever. I'm trapped in a police van. They already think I'm nuts. I may as well scream my lungs out and express the feeling of pain in this situation. So I did. Okay, so I got taken to the Ward 12 in the police van again. Got walked into the hospital ward by two police people. I think it was one female and one male police person. I was handcuffed. They undid the handcuffs while I was in the ward and sort of handed me over, if you like, to the reception people in the office of the ward. Maybe I think they handed over my little bag of goodies, of personal belongings, to the staff there. Then they fucked off and said goodbye, and I was like, thanks, I suppose. I think I said thanks, trying to be grateful or whatever. And they were like, yeah, okay, fine, bye. So they fucked off. So then I was in the ward. And now, that's... it's hard to describe how much of a shock that actually was, because I just went from staying with my friend to in a cab to this house to slap my dad to being violently arrested by the police, brutally arrested, bruising and cuts and stuff on me. I wasn't even resisting arrest. They were just unnecessarily hard because they had this preconceived notion that I was dangerous. So they were exceptionally hard, which was way stronger than the actual threat I presented to them when they showed up. I wasn't being violent at all. I didn't try anything, and they just, I don't know what the hell. Anyway, yeah. So I'd been from, as I said, from my friend's house to here. Friend's house in a cab to here, then from here to the police station in the back of the van, screaming my lungs out, to that overnight jail cell thing, to the doctor's room, to being sectioned, to be back in the police van, to the ward 12, in the space of like 24 hours. So it's almost like I couldn't believe what the hell had happened, you know. So I went from this place where I was relatively happy, actually, relatively okay, enjoying myself, living at Cherry's house in Taplow. Then found out this thing about the passport, and that pissed me off. And then just it's almost like from that moment to being in the ward, it was like 24-hour period. And actually, even the day before, I'd been out in London, and I met this quite attractive French girl while we were looking for this one particular art shop in London. And like I spent the afternoon with her walking around, chatting, trying to chat French badly and listen to her bad English. So that was nice, and I got her card and got her number and stuff, and I was thinking, oh, this is cool. And then 24 hours later, I was in a hospital. Yeah, after staying a night in a police cell. So it was all really, really strange, and it was a shock. I just felt like, what the hell has happened? Whoa. About a day ago, I was in London having a nice time with a French girl, where things were fine and everything's okay, and then because of this one small thing that's happened, because my parents have got this fucked up idea of me that they think I'm insane. No one else thought I was insane, only them. You know, it was only them that had this idea of me as being psychotic. None of the people who I was hanging out with in Cherries thought that I was psychotic. Well, they certainly weren't pushing that angle anyway, so they were happy to let me get on with whatever. They thought I was weird and eccentric and a bit offbeat, but they didn't think I was psychotic. I don't think, anyway. So yeah. So anyway, I was in the ward. I got showed around the ward by this nurse guy called Daniel, and he showed me around the ward. He was Indian, so Daniel was a weird name, but yeah, fine. And he was like, he had this sort of cheery little face on him, like, hey, here's the place you're going to be staying for the next however long, and you don't know whether you're going to come out, and you're going to be pretty unhappy here. But hey, here's the TV room, and here's your bedroom, and here's some stuff, and yeah. Hooray, you're in a psychiatric ward. And I was like, what? Now I need a wee. Hold the line. Okay. So, yeah, I was on the ward then. Daniel introduced me to all the bits and bobs on the ward. I got given this flyer thing as well about my rights and then another flyer about the routines and stuff of the ward, like timings for things, lunch and medication time and stuff like that. Oh God. Okay, so the main. Well, I'm trying to like figure out what to say because there's a lot I can say about it, but it's like hard to sort of think, well, what's important to say now and where to begin really on the ward. So it might become a bit incoherent just now because there's too much to say and I haven't really worked through this before properly. Corridors. There's a lot of corridors in the mental health ward. The main feeling I have is of not the main feeling I have. I mean, in terms of the place, the situation, the environment, it's very corridory. So there was this one particular long corridor with a kind of exit sign at the end. But it was a fire exit door. Obviously, you weren't allowed to go out, and if you did go out of it, it set an alarm off. And I don't know whether it was locked or not, but I mean, technically anyone could have just opened that door and gone out of it, but it does set an alarm off if you do that. And I think the psychological understanding of you're not allowed to escape was strong enough to keep most people from actually trying. But I'm not sure if they had a fire door there or not, or if it was locked or what. I'm not sure. But then there was a door in the dining room, which was a dining room and a kind of lounge area, you could say. I don't think lounge is the right word, but it was like an activity area. So in this dining room area, they had the actual canteen part where they served the food out. You got your trays and stuff, and then they had a bookshelf over in the far left-hand corner. So if you come in through the doors, like double door bit that were open most of the time, you got the canteen bit on your left where you'd line up and you'd receive your food at breakfast, lunch and dinner. Actually, I quite liked the food in hospital because it was so easy. Like, I didn't have to do anything. I just wait in line, pick up my food and eat it, and it was okay. And you used to get like, it's basically like school dinners. So you get your little sponge with custard on, and you get a little cracker with cheese, and the food was nice usually, or not bad anyway. It wasn't horrible. It was just very easy to eat, you know. Doesn't require much mental or physical processing to get the stuff inside you. It's just nom 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 nom. Doesn't really taste like that much and doesn't taste like anything horrible. It's just easy. It's middle of the road food. Very bland, very easy, inoffensive, you know. Maybe it would be offensive if you're used to high class eating all the time, but it's just very simple, easy to eat food. You get a little carton of drink or whatever with it and glass of water and stuff. And I quite liked, in fact, my favourite times, I almost kind of only really lived for the meal times. The meal times are the only good thing about the day, honestly. Yeah, that's really sucky, but meal times were the thing I just look forward to because it was nice food, and it was like the only thing worth getting out of bed for really was to go and get some food. So I used to just basically, like, you have your food in the morning, then you wait all morning until lunchtime, and then you go, okay, and I'm going to have lunch, and then you wait all afternoon until dinner time, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to have dinner. But those are the three important things. It's like basic important things to do in the day, because the rest of the time I was just in my bed, really. Most of the time I was in my bed. I tried to read here and there. I did do some reading in there, but it's quite hard. And I was really depressed. My parents got me a guitar while I was staying there. So, a new guitar, because I did like, oh yeah, by the way, I destroyed or gave away all my guitars, acoustic ones anyway. I smashed one in the forest because I wanted to have the experience of smashing a guitar like a true rock star. It was fun. It was expressive. I just got this black guitar and just went crash, smash, smash. It was really good. You know, that feeling of destruction, really good. And I actually bought a crappy guitar later on, way after hospital time. I bought it for like £35 just so I could smash it, to get the feeling of smashing a guitar. It's quite fun, honestly, to smash a guitar. If you ever have the opportunity, buy a crappy guitar, buy a crappy Argos one, or like an old low quality guitar, just for the purpose of smashing. It's really good. Bang! Yeah. Can really take out a good bit of rage by smashing a guitar. If you can't figure out anything rageful enough to play on the guitar, just smash the fucking thing. It's really quite fun. All right, yeah. So my parents bought me a new guitar while I was in the ward. Like, there came a time after a couple of weeks, few weeks, 3 weeks or so, where I was given leave for like 4 hours per day. If I had a parent or guardian or whatever with me, someone to take me out. So there was this form that I had to fill in called Section 17 leave. So we must have gone out then on one of those leave things, because I remember going to the music shop and choosing a guitar, which I later regretted the choice that I made, but fine. We got a guitar. It was an Ibanez guitar. And that was kind of my mental health guitar, because I had that guitar from hospital. It was from being in hospital. My parents bought me this guitar. It was like 300 quid or something for this guitar and a strap, some plectrums, because they wanted to give me something to do, and they wanted to give me something to give me hope, I guess, and to get me back into feeling like myself again or whatever. But sadly, initially I couldn't even really play it because of this whole side effects thing that I mentioned on the last video. The muscles, I just couldn't, and it was more than I could account for just having not played for a little while, you know. As a guitarist, if you don't play for a little while, yeah, you lose a bit of skill, but you don't lose all your skills. But this was like, I felt like I couldn't even do it, and it's so sad. It's really, really sad to think of that person that I was in those moments, where I've got this guitar, and I was so unhappy because, you know, my fingers wouldn't do what I wanted them to do anymore. And I was having all this slurred speech thing as well, and I just felt so wrecked by the whole thing. I can't even do like these simple chords and stuff because my fingers weren't moving how I wanted them because of the drugs that I was on, the medications, right? So this muscle stiffness is really having an effect, and it's almost like I'm feeling that same feeling again as I'm talking about it. Yeah, so I was trying to do this stuff, and I just feel really slowed down, like, and it feels like it's really effortful to kind of move my fingers, and they don't want to go where they're supposed to, and so trying to do these little riffs and runs, and I'm just so upset because I can't do it, and it's been such a big thing for me, music, and then to be in this situation, to be like in this mental health ward where everyone's nuts and I'm trapped in there, and now I can't really speak properly and I'm depressed as fuck, and now I can't even play my guitar. You know, it's pretty fucking shit. And I feel sorry for myself, and like in that situation I feel sorry for that guy who I was, because it sucks. You know, if I was there witnessing that, I'd feel so heartbroken, because I would see myself struggling to do something that I knew I could do. So I'd be watching this guy like painfully trying to do this stuff and being really unhappy about it and being upset. And I'd be so distressed to see myself go through that. It's like being put suddenly through like a disability or something. You suddenly become disabled all of a sudden, where I once was able. And it's not like, but it wasn't even like a true disability in that it was medically induced by these drugs. It wasn't actually kind of something that was inbuilt or an actual condition that I was having. It was being produced by the effects of this medication. And I think that's just really wrong. because the medications were actually making me worse. See, this is why I don't like talking about this. So yeah, I was trying to play guitar and I couldn't play guitar, and I was really fucking upset about it. And that lasted for a long time as well. And I was so unhappy that I had to relearn the whole fucking thing. I had to relearn the whole guitar. I mean, eventually it came back, but it just felt so hard. And I remember after I came out of hospital and I was oh god, we were on holiday, and I was still depressed as fuck, and everything was so hopeless to me at that time, because I'd gone through all this crap, and then I kind of got kicked out of hospital to start again, and I didn't know what my life was going to be anymore. And I remember asking my dad, like, am I improving? Because I couldn't tell on my guitar. I was like, am I improving? And he said, yes, you are. And I couldn't see it, and I couldn't tell, and it just felt so hopeless and lost and depressing and futile. It just felt futile, you know, like doing this practice, and I was thinking, I'm never going to get back to it. You know, I was a good guitarist. I wasn't amazing, but I was a good guitarist and a good songwriter and singer and stuff, and everything was gone. And I just start from the beginning again, like, oh god. So yeah, talking about Ward 12 is going to be hard. Oh. I got rid of that guitar eventually as well, because it had so many associations to the mental health thing. And I didn't really feel like I didn't even feel like I'd made a good choice of guitar. I felt like I just made a bit of a snap decision on the guitar, because like I was on leave from hospital when I bought the guitar with my parents, and so I was still depressed. I was depressed and medicated and stuff when I was choosing the guitar, so I didn't really know what I was doing there either. Oh god. Yeah. So I didn't even know. I mean, this makes it sound worse than it was, but I mean, like, I was in a pretty bad way when I was making that decision anyway, so I felt like I didn't really make a good choice. And also that guitar, that Ibanez guitar, I didn't ever really like it fully as a guitar. It was just a guitar that I had, and I was grateful for having it, for being given it by my parents. But there's also some feeling of guilt around it as well, like they gave me this gift to cheer me up, and I felt indebted to them in some way. And also, all I ever seemed to write on that bloody guitar was was songs about mental health stuff. So, so I was like, eventually I needed to get rid of it just from my own feelings, really, because it. I mean, I didn't have any sentimental attachment to it. Actually, that guitar, I didn't ever really like it, and in fact, I wanted to be away from it. I wanted to get rid of it because it was just such a symbol of the mental health stuff. And there came a point in my life where I wanted to completely stop talking about mental health, because after I came out of hospital, therapy aside, actually, that a lot of my life was focused around promoting awareness for mental health issues and constantly talking about that time in my life with my dad as well, sometimes with my mum, with my brother even. There was always the topic of conversation of when I was mad, blah, 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 blah. So that was just, it was always in my life from hospital onwards, talking about mental health, whether I was doing radio interviews about it or people wanted to talk to me for material for books, or maybe I don't know what else we did. Oh yeah, we did kind of talks at schools about it, and I wrote things about it, and I wrote songs about it. So just everything was all about that. I was on a BBC Three documentary as well, and I was on an advert for Rethink's Time to Change campaign. It was trying to get conversations started about mental health issues. So I was on a little advert with my dad on TV. Yeah. Anyway, so my life was like all focused around that and talking about it all the time. And so I came to this point in time. I think it was just after the documentary went out, because the girlfriend I was with at that time, her name was Paulina. I hadn't told her about my mental health past, right? Because it was a new relationship, and honestly, the previous girl I was with, her name was Marina, sorry, sorry, Marina, if you're watching. I doubt you will, because you're a bitch. Anyway, maybe she's watching. Anyway, you're a bitch, Marina. You're an immature, sarcastic little bitch. Anyway, let's get back to the point. So while I was going out with Marina, she had some big issues about this whole mental health thing. She didn't want me to be talking about it and stuff, and she was afraid and ashamed and just had these deep prejudices about mental health stuff. And her parents were all really funny about the fact that she was going out with me because I had this past and stuff. And so that kind of put a real sense of problem, difficulty in that relationship. So after that relationship, I didn't want to just bring it up anymore. I didn't want to fucking tell people about it, because it seemed to just come with this whole baggage of stigma about it, which it shouldn't do, but it does. So that's the situation. You know, maybe it's less now than it was about 10 years ago, or 9 years ago, 10 years ago. Maybe it is less now, but I feel like there is still some stigma going on about mental health stuff. Anyway, so I didn't tell Paulina right off the bat that, oh, by the way, I went through this whole period in time in my life that was completely fucked. I just decided to stop telling people straight off the bat, because there was a period in time where I told people straight off the bat, like, to get it out there. Then I wanted to just stop telling people that immediately, because I felt like it was starting to colour their perception of me straight off the bat. So I didn't tell her, and she only really found out anything about my mental health past when I told her there was this documentary coming up, and she watched it, and it freaked her out. Basically, it just totally freaked her out. So after that point, when that documentary came out and this whole issue happened with Paulina, I mean, that kind of actually improved our relationship somewhat when we dealt with it, but that relationship ended anyway. But after that point, I just decided I don't have anything to do with that part of my life anymore. I actually kind of properly cut myself off from it. And in fact, that was around the time that I decided to call myself Fieros, because my name, Ross Wilson, was so public in, like, the Hugging Barbed Wire website, the advert, the various different places that mental health stuff was written about me, because we'd been doing all this promotion about it and stuff, right? So I wanted to change my name to give me some anonymity from it as well, so that people were gonna, like, look me up this was one aspect of the name change. So if people are going to look me up, then they're looking up Fieros, then they're going to find all stuff that I want them to find, rather than if they look up Ross Wilson, they're going to find all this like stuff about my past, which may or may not be what I want them to see. And also, the thing that I realised, because I went through some therapy, the thing that I'd realised about the way I was talking about my past is I was always talking about it as though it was real and true, and that I was a broken individual, and that I did go through a psychosis thing, and it was all couched in this perception of an illness, whereas I had started to see it as no longer an illness, but as a spiritual event or a spiritual path that I went through that had some bizarre effects to the outside world. So I didn't want to have all these associations to this really sick body of work. I mean, I think that the stuff that we wrote is coming from a place of a negative understanding of mental health, actually. It's not empowering. Although we were trying to like promote awareness and stuff, I don't speak about my experiences in the same way as I used to anymore, because I used to speak about myself as a lesser being because of what I'd been through. So yeah, so that was one of the reasons why I got rid of that guitar as well. So that guitar that I got given in hospital, I eventually sold it, I think, or gave it away. I think I sold it, that one, because I just wanted to completely disconnect from it, and at that point I wanted to disconnect from it forever, but what it ended up being was just an extended period of time where I decided to direct my focus away from my past and all that stuff and into my present and towards my future, which was on the whole a very positive step for me, because I'd spent so long talking about the same stuff, going over and over it and looking at it at different angles and whatever. And of course this is what I'm doing now, but this has been an actual productive experience to do these videos on the topic. Anyway, I don't think I can really go back and talk about Ward 12 anymore in this video because we don't have much time left. I don't really have any kind of takeaway points to make other than Ward 12 sucked. Ward 12 really sucked, and there's going to be a hell of a lot more stuff to talk about in there. And I'm probably going to cry. I mean, that didn't really feel like I cried very much. I mean, obviously I did cry a bit in this video, but I'm sure there's bigger crying to do than that. That was minor. Like, so that didn't even feel kind of quite fully emotionalized. Like, I could see myself crying and feel myself crying, but I wasn't. I feel there's a lot of tears in my belly. Honestly, I feel like a lot of my tears are trapped in my belly, and I need to do some more deep level sobbing. So there you go. There's a bit about Ward 12 and the guitar and the depression of not being able to play the guitar because of the because of the side effects, of the medications and stuff. And breakfast, lunch, and dinner were nice. I was trying to describe the layout of the place. I'll talk more about it later. I'm gonna get a fucking drink and chill out. That was a good session. Thanks for watching. My name is Fieros, supposedly Fieros Industries, and thanks for watching. And see you. I will talk to you soon. Bye.